Floor to Dr. Fadila Grine for the panel session. I would like to first to invite you a remarkable media work by the ICYF team. Please enjoy. Now, I would like to call Dr. Fadila Grine, the Senior Advisor to the President of ICYF, for moderating the main panel session for today. Dr. Fadila, the floor is all yours.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Excellencies, esteemed guests, our wonderful young people, ICYF team, especially our members, ICYF members from all over the OIC region. It's such a pleasure to have you today with us because this is a very remarkable day for ICYF and for those who are suffering Islamophobia worldwide. In very special occasion like this, the kickoff of the Youth Global Action for Countering Islamophobia, we think this is a very unique event for youth by youth organization. Muslim youth all over the world suffer deeply and tormented from all types of discrimination, stigmatization, exclusion in all areas such as employment, education, vocational trainings, services, and political participation. But also from racist violence, hate speech that is spreading like a fire, especially on internet platforms. That's why young people are mostly affected by those hate attacks on Muslim youth simply for their religion, for their color, simply because they are different. We think that Islamophobia is a form of racism and hate crime. Youth have been heavily subject to Islamophobia attack, affecting their well-being and mostly their identity. And as ICYF, we have been organizing trainings, and last we organized was the Heads Up High for the well-being of our young people, and we had more than 32 activists of young people participating from us from all the Muslim communities around the world. And during these discussions, we discovered how much youth are tormented by Islamophobia. And we discovered as an institution of youth, it lays on us to act and move towards uniting efforts, continuing the efforts of the mother organization, OIC, that is doing a lot for Islamophobia. IPHRC, who is at the upfront defending the human rights of Muslim communities and the Muslim youth all over the world. That's why we decided that we need to do a global call for all the friends, all the partners, all institutions, all governments, non-governmental and governmental, NGOs, youth institutions, all of them to come together and act against Islamophobia in a systematic way and in a very partnership that is long-term partnership until we find a solution to this complex issue facing the Muslim youth especially. That's what we care for as a youth institution. We are very blessed today to have you with us in this event. Governments, institutions, representatives, international institutions, the OIC General Secretariat, IPHRC, our members from all over, especially from Africa and the Arab region, Asia, they're all here today because this is very important to them, and they are also here to say they're part of this action. We already have, before we call for the global action for Islamophobia, we start having commitments, and some of our institutions are already planning the next event in Canada, in Baku, and many other places. So the call is actually getting an answer before even we kick off this global call. This also important event because it's about building on the efforts and connecting the dots. We have to listen to you, sharing your efforts, and we will continue together. This is our event today. The president of ICYF, as you all heard him this morning, he mentioned in his speech, he called for joint action by cooperation, synergized efforts, creating practical and effective countering Islamophobia networks. He also said, we are not calling youth to get involved. Youth people are already at the center of this struggle for equality and their human rights against all forms of discrimination. But our duty to provide them with all the support and the guidance necessary to help them to do it right and safe. This is one of the main objectives behind ICYF's call for youth global action to counter Islamophobia. Youth people are not immune from the negative effects of Islamophobia. They should be supported and producing long-term solutions, guided to deconstruct a great deal of systematic hatred and racism, and protected from long-term socio-economic and psychological damage. This call is about collective efforts again, all efforts, all the people, all advocates of justice and freedom, of faith around the globe. All efforts should gather to make a collective stream of understanding and positive attitudes that can help youth for generations to come to continue building safer and more tolerant spaces against all forms of discrimination. We are committed as ICYF, as Mr. President said, to tackle this issue with, at the forefront of OIC and UN platforms from sociocultural angles by raising awareness, guiding the discourse among our beloved young people worldwide, especially as ICYF, alhamdulillah, now is an ECOSOC member. The main question of this panel is why youth global action for Islamophobia or countering Islamophobia? Why we need youth on board leading initiatives to make a difference from your institution's perspective. We need to listen to you. So before I start, I would like first to call for 1 minute to read Al-Fatiha for two reasons. One is to read Al-Fatiha for the victims of the fires going on right now for Turkey, and there are a big number of people we lost to this fire. And also, according to our member, Mr. Hazima Muhammad, he also called us to read Al-Fatiha as requested by our member. We honor this member for the 200 people lost their lives in Lebanon explosion last year. That was the actually the world third bigger explosion in the ports of Lebanon. So our condolences to the Lebanese people and families for their victims as well. Please let's read Al-Fatiha. Thank you very much. You're welcome. During the open-ended executive committee emergency meeting held in Istanbul in March 2019, the OIC, guided by its principles, called for a global action against Islamophobia to combat religious discrimination, Islamophobia, intolerance, and hatred towards Muslims. The Islamic group called on the UN chief to convene a special meeting of the UN General Assembly to declare Islamophobia as a form of racism. So this is one of the targets of the OIC. The OIC Observatory report is actually a reference and a source of information when it comes how much Islamophobia is increasing and how much it's affecting the youth and the communities on socio-cultural, political front. During the pandemic, according to the observatory report of the OIC, the Islamophobia went up many more times. It's increasing very fast because people are more online and our young people are suffering more from Islamophobia. So for that purpose, our first speaker for today would be His Excellency Ambassador Ahmed Sarir, the Director of the Asian Affairs at the Political Department of the OIC Islamic Organization, to share with us his insights on what is OIC thinking about this global action, and also to share some of his insights on the OIC work on Islamophobia. Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fadla, a very close friend that I have had associated with earlier in the Secretariat. And we are very pleased to see you here doing a great job. And I congratulate you on the efforts that you have been doing, raising the flag of OIC further. Excellencies, distinguished participants, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Once again, I just wanted to give you more highlights on, in addition to what His Excellency the Secretary General's statement, which I read earlier, some of the details which I thought would be useful as a kickstart for the discussions for today's subject. Before I proceed, let me make a clarification that there are a number of ways in which how the term of Islamophobia is understood by various people. Many see Islamophobia mostly as incidents, while some others see it as a form of action and discrimination, meaning anti-Muslim action or anti-Muslim discrimination. For all practical purposes, the OIC has been using a working definition that Islamophobia could be understood as a fear of Islam and of any objects or practices associated with Islam, such as mosques, Holy Quran, hijab, halal food, etc. It often manifests violently through actions such as burning or vandalizing mosques and their properties, abusing women wearing hijabs, physical and verbal assaults to Muslim individuals, insults against Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, racist graffiti, pig carcasses, dumping, and threatening mail, Holy Quran, defacing, social media posts, and so on and so forth. There are a number of those manifestations. At the OIC General Secretariat, the issue of Islamophobia is dealt by the Islamophobia Observatory, as we have highlighted earlier. It is a specialized unit at the, or a center currently operating within the Political Affairs Department of the OIC General Secretariat. The main task of the unit is monitoring on a daily basis incidents or manifestations of Islamophobia around the world, based on which the center produces analysis and submit periodic reports to the OIC leadership, as well as in its member states and to the member states. The particular mandate given to the this observatory by the Islamic Summit held in 2005 were A, to monitor all forms of Islamophobia, and B, to report to all member states. In short, the OIC Islamophobia Observatory monitors manifestations, reading the trend, and drawing maps on how the situation related to Islamophobia develops from time to time. So while we are going through this work of the observatory, I thought of showing you some of the work that we have been doing graphically on to show the work on a monthly basis. And here is some slides that we have come up with, if you can kindly put it up. This particular Islamophobia status, which is this is actually from December to 2020 to June 21, the manifestations. What you are seeing is manifestations which is in the dark color, and the positive developments in yellow. Okay, you see that. For instance, during the past 6 months period, in Asia, Europe, and North America regions deserved our most particular attention. I think it is shown in the next one. This is a graph where we are seeing some of the details of the key countries which are very high in its manifestations per country-wise, if you look at the graphs. So some of these countries, like France, comes very high, UK, the United States, and India comes at the top. And so these are dominated by some of the government's policy, which are followed by discrimination against Muslim communities or individuals. Of course, there has been a change in the patterns from time to time. For instance, the incidents caused by the far-right movements, which was dominated during the years of 2019 and 2020, has now been showing a declining pattern. By last month, the discrimination is, however, again on top of the score. And this is the type of manifestations which you see that the observatory has highlighted. These ones give the details of what exactly the counts in terms of, I hope you see the colors separately in detail, where the discrimination has been at the very top, and the verbal and physical assault is also quite high in, especially in the regions of Europe and North America, and some countries in Asia. And the count of hijab incidents are also extremely high in these parts of the regions that I just mentioned. And then there are the count on mosque incidents and the count on policy related. These are fairly at the very, very high level. And this is a graph we are just wanted to show, the bar chart that we want to show in terms of like how this is seen in terms of the how the far right campaigns has shown, and how the count of discrimination. If you go by the clockwise approach, you would see that the count of discrimination at the very top, the 22% of the global during over the 6 months period is very high, and the count of hate speech, and then again the count of far right campaign is coming to the towards a very high position, and the count of hijab incidents are not as much as when you look at the other ones. So this is just to give a snapshot of the indication of how the operations of these type of groups have been operating against Islam, anything to do with Islam. Then here is the okay. This is the list that I was giving out in a bar chart earlier. Where you can see the percentage-wise in terms of the countries. It gives the okay. Now, as you can see, the France and the United States have come up almost equal in terms of the highest number during the last period that we have gone through in the observatory. And UK was also very close to that level. And then India in the recent past has come up very strongly in various incidents of their Islamophobic events. And Canada and Germany, and during the pandemic we have seen in Sri Lanka also quite a number of issues, especially with related to the COVID pandemic, how they were trying to discriminate especially the burial issue, as you would have already learned from the media. That has a major issue which the OIC had to intervene, and eventually, alhamdulillah, from January this year, we were able to deal with the Sri Lankan government, as well as the Muslim community who were appealing to the OIC for action. And but then it is featured, if you look at the global scale, it was featured as a very prominent work against Islam. And we have to also see that there are a number of positive developments which OIC Observatory also notes. Wherever there is positive developments in terms of Islamophobia from the work that the OIC and all the other international organizations have been working in tandem, there have been a lot of positive, like in the policy level, we have seen 26% there has been, and the count of court decisions and trials has also become positive to some extent, and counterbalances on far right has also been, there are some positive developments, and the positive views on Islam, because that is something the OIC is working very, very effectively, especially when, as I mentioned, from the Secretary General's statement, where he had highlighted the work of the Voice of Wisdom, Sautul Hikmah, has been doing enormous amount of work in countering the narratives of Islam. Is always seen as views or the actions which is related to terrorism or extremism. But this Islam, as you all don't need to be convinced, as a peace promotion religion. But then this is something that what the Voice of Wisdom has been bringing out with various Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and all sorts of social media tools to convey the message that Islam is not what it is perceived by many far-right groupings. So that actually has helped a lot if you really look at the in terms of the positive messages. So we acknowledge the positive developments in that regard. Then this is the trends which you can see in the past few months that we have highlighted. Is the way that the Islamophobia curve has been we have seen. From December to January, there was a sharp rise in the trends. And then there was, again in January, there was a decline. And in February to all the way to April, there was a going up the scale. And now we could say there has been a uniformity maintained during the mid this year. So this is just to give you a snapshot of where Islamophobia trends and how it is observed by the OIC Secretariat's wing, Islamophobia Observatory. You can see all these reports, which we bring out very detailed reports on each and every incident, whether there was a attack on the mosques or whether there has been some sort of harassment on communities. These are all in detailed, very detailed report which we gives out with photos. You can see it on our websites on a monthly basis. So from that we have deduced these graphs. So I thought I'd just highlight this snapshot and then we leave it for question and answers if you have any of our work. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Excellency, for this demonstration and this elaboration and giving this very necessary information about what's OIC doing on Islamophobia, because it's really not well known to the young people. And this is one of the reasons we wanted the OIC's General Secretariat to be here to speak about it to the youth community, to the youth platforms, and to connect together with young people so they are aware what is the OIC and the observatory is doing in regards to the countering of Islamophobia. So thank you very much, Excellency. First, let me speak that Turkey actually has frankly and frequently brought up the issue of Islamophobia to the global forums always and played leading role when it comes to raising awareness about the problem and also putting an end to it and standing against Islamophobia in very many international platforms always. And also Turkey has been institutionally successful to fight Islamophobia by institutionalizing and creating platforms that is acting on Islamophobia, like SETA, that has an office here in Istanbul, and it has one in Brussels, and many other organizations. And Turkey organized many international conferences, major ones, on Islamophobia. And for that purpose, our second speaker, His Excellency Mr. Cenk Oraz, Deputy Director General of OIC Affairs at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs at the Republic of Turkey, will highlight for us some of those aspects and share with us some of his insights on this regard. Thank you very much. The floor is yours, Excellency.
Thank you very much. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum to all. Distinguished President of the Islamic Cooperation Youth Forum, Mr. Taha Ayhan, distinguished representatives of the OIC General Secretariat, distinguished members of the ICYF, ladies and gentlemen, allow me first to extend the greetings of our Foreign Minister, Mr. Mevlüt Çavuşoğlu, to all of you. As you know, he is currently in Antalya, coordinating national efforts on the against the forest fires. So I also would like to begin my words by commending the ICYF for organizing today's timely event. We thank President Ayhan for his kind invitation to our ministry, and it's an honor for me to be here today and share our insights on this important subject matter. I firmly believe that the discussions that will take place today and tomorrow will contribute to our collective efforts to combat Islamophobia in a global scale with the perspective of the youth. Unfortunately, as it has been referred earlier by other speakers, we witness a rising trend of discrimination, xenophobia, hatred of Islam and racism all over the world, and I think this constitutes the biggest threat against peace and harmony in our societies. Today, the phenomenon of Islamophobia finds shelter both at the state and societal levels. Due to certain initiatives taken at the political and legislative fields, Islamophobia has become institutionalized and legitimized, as seen in the legal attempts to ban minarets, call to prayers, and wearing hijab or headscarves in certain countries. Discriminatory practices in employment, education, and social life negatively affect migrant communities, particularly in non-OIC countries, and hinder their participation in the societies where they live. Unfortunately, the youth is among the biggest victims of these acts. We observe with concern that politicians use discriminatory and xenophobic discourse for their narrow political interests, which lead to anti-Muslim and xenophobic attacks. Particularly after the outbreak of COVID-19, recent reports indicate that total number of hate crimes targeting immigrants in host countries is on the rise. Having the majority of Muslim migrants in Europe, Turkey is experiencing the bitter face of this problem very closely. Unfortunately, migrant issues are handled in a lot of European countries from a security point of view. And we believe that migrants should be seen as a cultural and economic enrichment of societies and not as a security threat. Distinguished participants, as Turkey, we lead and support international efforts to raise awareness to combat Islamophobia. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and Foreign Minister Mevlüt Çavuşoğlu seize every opportunity at national and international fora to address the importance of combating Islamophobia. And as it was highlighted by the distinguished Ambassador Sarir from the OIC Secretariat, OIC plays a key role in taking action against Islamophobia. To that end, the Islamophobia Observatory has a useful function in terms of presenting regular and comprehensive reports on anti-Muslim acts all over the world. And we appreciate those regular reports, and we try to contribute from our part. And we believe that the observatory should be further strengthened even in terms of human resources, in terms of, other capacities. Furthermore, as it was also being referred today, The designation of the 15th of March as the International Day to Combat Islamophobia by the OIC was a crucial milestone. And this was actually one of the recommendations put forward as a result of the OIC Executive Committee meeting held in Istanbul immediately after the terrorist attacks in New Zealand in 2019. Recently, Foreign Minister Çavuşoğlu addressed the high-level event on the 17th of March 2021, organized by the OIC group in New York to raise awareness on the International Day to Combat Islamophobia, where he underlined that the international community as a whole should also send a clear and unified message to those who want to create fractures based on religion, color, and origin. And this event was also attended by the UN Secretary General, which is good in terms of visibility and raising awareness on Islamophobia. Meanwhile, we are still working with brotherly OIC member states to bring this issue in the agenda of the UN General Assembly. And particularly, we appreciate the leading role of Pakistan to this end. And as Turkey, we continue to support the work of the OIC contact groups, the contact group on Muslims in Europe, and the contact group on peace and dialogue. And we are actively involved in independent reporting and raising awareness in cooperation with the international community. As Foreign Ministry, we regularly issue press statements on 15th of March on the occasion of the International Day Against Islamophobia, along with the OIC General Secretariat. Finally, we also plan to publish annual reports on the countries where anti-Islamic, xenophobic, and racist acts and discourses take place. So we will try to contribute to the efforts of the certain international organizations, particularly of by the OIC and some others, in terms of collecting information and sharing with the international community. Ladies and gentlemen, being an important element of the OIC family, ICYF has a distinct role and function in promoting culture of peaceful coexistence among the youth around the globe and thereby combating Islamophobia. Under the successful leadership of Mr. Ayhan, the Forum is taking timely and remarkable steps in order to combat hatred against Islam and Muslims by reaching out different segments of people. At this point, I would like to congratulate ICYF for taking the initiative on Youth Global Action Countering Islamophobia, and hereby emphasize Turkey's readiness to support and cooperate with the ICYF in this regard. Once again, I thank President Ayhan and the ICYF staff for convening this important event and wish them success in their future endeavors. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Excellency Mr. Cenk Uraz, for this very remarkable insights and also for sharing with us what Turkey is doing about Islamophobia, which is an exemplary role by some of our member states who are really at the upfront standing for the Islamophobia. And this action also is meant to gather the efforts of the OIC member states who are playing roles, but we want those roles to be all in one pool, and we wanted also all of them to support the OIC groups in that regard in Brussels and Geneva. And inshallah, we wanted to see more youth involvement on those roles by member states, deliberating and giving these roles to the young people and to their way of fighting and countering Islamophobia. As you can see, to not forget, our young people put together a wonderful piece of media video at this beginning of this event. We can stay here and speak 40 hours, but young people creating a piece of art like this for 3 minutes or 2 minutes can reach out millions of young people. And for that, we wanted to encourage our young people to be at the front and to take the flag and fight for Muslims and Muslim youth to get their human rights and to be treated as fellow human beings everywhere on this globe. Before I start the panel, I would like also to recognize the attendance of our members from Senegal, Mr. Kadim Diop. You are welcome. And also our member from Côte d'Ivoire, Mr. Ahmed Kader, and Mr. Shogar Bashar from Sudan. We are really, really honored, and your existence and your presence among us today speaks loads for how much you're committed as ICYF members to this cause of global action for Islamophobia, and we look forward to work together with you to raise this portfolio globally by our youth, your youth, ICYF youth. We have a little slight change in the program. Mr. Fashat Al Hassan, our ICYF Pakistan member, Youth Action Network, and also our partner in this panel, is joining us from Canada, and it's quite late, so we want to have him first. Mr. Fashat also is the co-founder of the Institute of Sustainable Development and Cooperation, ISDC, that is actually organizing an event as a reply to this call in Canada very soon, probably in early 2022. So Mr. Fashat Al Hassan will join us to share his remarks from Canada. Mr. Fashat, the floor is yours.
Situation. Honorable Ministers, Excellencies, young leaders, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Before I start my formal speech, on behalf of people of Pakistan, I would like to offer our support and prayers for the souls who lost their lives and extend our deepest sympathy and condolences to the bereaved families. We also pray for the early recovery. I would like to express my sincere gratitude and heartfelt appreciation for ICYF, especially President of ICYF, His Excellency Taha Ehan Bey, for taking the leadership and organizing this very timely youth global action countering Islamophobia today. Islam has been portrayed as exaggerated fear, hatred, and hostility towards the mass population, and Muslims are perpetrated by negative stereotypes resulting in bias, discrimination, and marginalization and exclusion of Muslims from social, political, and civic life, mainly in the West. I would not go into the details, as has been mentioned by our esteemed and honorable guests already. So I will just more focus on that. As a member of ICYF, I highly encourage and acknowledge the efforts of ICYF for hosting this important event today, along with the partners. We at Youth Advocacy Network and as a member from Pakistan always condemn Islamophobia because we believe that it affects more than a small fringe group of Muslims, but the 1.8 billion Muslims around the world. And the act against Muslims clearly depict that. Government of Pakistan and Honorable Prime Minister of Pakistan, His Excellency Mr. Imran Khan, wrote to the leaders of Muslim majority countries asking them to act collectively to counter growing Islamophobia in non-Muslim states. Whereas Pakistan presented a resolution to designate 15th March as the International Day to Combat Islamophobia at the 47th session of Organization of Islamic Cooperation Council of Foreign Ministers held in Niamey, Niger on 27-28 November 2020, which was unanimously adopted by the CFM. So these are some of the steps taken by the government of Pakistan. But at the same time, I would like to acknowledge the efforts of Turkey, and especially Honorable President of Turkey, His Excellency Recep Tayyip Erdogan, for the leadership and clearly questioned the Western leaders on this important issue. Very recently, His Excellency President of Pakistan, Dr. Arif Alvi, while hosting the Arab Parliament's President Adel bin Abdul Rahman Al Asumi, urged the Islamic countries to work together on countering Islamophobia and changing the perception of the world about Muslims. This clearly shows that Pakistan is very serious on the issue of Islamophobia. As a representative of youth from Pakistan, I would like to call on young people of Muslim world to take small but effective steps to counter taboos linked with Islam and Muslims. Keeping in mind the today's event, and of course, social media has become more powerful than the mainstream media. And so we need to use it effectively and smartly. I would also like to propose ICYF Secretariat to establish a special task force or watchdog to record and compile Islamophobic incidents and issue an annual report and then to share it with the relevant human rights bodies, including Human Rights Council. I am sure that this will help us to put our case more effectively with facts and figures. I am also very glad to share that we as a Youth Advocacy Network and Pakistan will be working with ICYF and Institute for Sustainable Development and Cooperation, Canada, to not only raise awareness and build the capacity of youth, but also to show the true aspect of Islam and Muslims under this particular program that we are having today. I thank you for your time and listening to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fashat Al-Hassan, for this remarkable introduction to what are we going to do with Jan and the Institute for Sustainable Development Canada in the issue of the youth global action countering Islamophobia. And that was the beginning of our panel. Let me, before start to call the panelists to the podium, I would like to call Mr. Dr. Hussein Kashiri, our member from Iran, the president of the Youth Consultancy Padis, and he's also a partner in this panel. Dr. Hazima Mohammed, the ICYF member from the Lebanon, the leader of the Islamic Risala Scout Association. Also, Ms. Hibu Hassan Ilmi, ICYF member from Djibouti. She is the leader of the Youth in Action in Djibouti. Please join us at the platform. And Mr. Qasem, the co-founder of the Institute of Sustainable Development and Cooperation, ISDC, our also partner in this program from Canada. Please also join us at the podium. So, yes, and by that we will start, inshallah, the panel. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Can you hear me all? Okay. So alhamdulillah, we had a very successful opening ceremony kicking off the Youth Global Action Countering Islamophobia by the President of ICYF, Mr. Taha Ayhan, and our esteemed guest from the OIC General Secretariat, and the IPHRC from Jeddah, and the esteemed ministries of Youth and Sports from Turkey, and the Ministry of Youth and Sports from Azerbaijan. And we are honored to have our members, our guests, distinguished guests who choose to be with us in this kick-off of this very global event that will be having lots of echo internationally among our young people in the Muslim communities in the West especially. And we had successfully also heard the two speakers from the OIC General Secretariat and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for the commitments to be part of these global actions, and also sharing with us some references for our young people who will be following all this material on social media, and it's all streamed live on OIC official channels. And by that, inshallah, we will start with our panelists and partners in this program to, inshallah, deliberate more on how the young people will take part in this youth global action, and why do we need youth global action countering Islamophobia. why do we need to synergize and gather the efforts of governments, institutions, youth institutions, and why we are here today. And inshallah, this panel will be concluded also by tomorrow. We have two roundtable sessions that will be more of brainstorming sessions where we will propose some solutions to come up with the final declaration that will be shared with OIC member states, with global institutions and youth institutions especially, and also it will be streamed live on social media channels and through ICYF channels. So inshallah, I will start. Inshallah, I will start with Dr. Hussein Kasheri, the board member of ICYF from Iran, and the president of the youth consultancy Pardis. Please, Mr. Kasheri, the floor is yours.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Excellencies, politicians, ladies and gentlemen, dear participants, dear VIP guests from Secretary General of OSCE, and especially my dear brother, Dr. Taha Ayhan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude for what the Turkey government, especially President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and the government of Turkey has done for raising and launching this very important concept in Islamic words. Also, I want to extend my gratitude also for all brothers and sisters in Turkey and very active role during last 2 years against this crisis named Islamophobia. I would like to express my thanks, ICYF, my dear colleagues, to this very nice meeting, and really it's very difficult after very nice speech, state nice keywords, and very nice presentation by Ambassador Ahmed Sarir, also the politician from Foreign Affairs of Turkey, to bring new initiatives, new things for audience. Especially young people are always in searching new ideas. But as a professor, as a teacher in a university, I thinking during the speeches what I should highlight after these nice speeches. I categorized 3 concepts. First, I want to again defining the concept of Islamophobia and what we should do in front and counter against this concept. As academic definition, any aversion, hostility, or hatred towards the Muslims that encompasses and any distinction, exclusion, restriction, discrimination, or preference against Muslims that has the purpose of or effect of nullifying or impairing the recognition, enjoyment, or exercise on an equal footing of human rights and fundamental freedoms in the political, economic, social, cultural, or any other field of public life. The source and the very important point we should mention, recently, the fear of terrorism has been repeatedly used to justify the racial and religious profiling of Muslims. This has paralleled a rise in incidents of intimidation and violence, and the creation of policies that discriminate against refugees and also immigrants, and deny community members their civil and human rights. For tackle and for in front of this concept, Islamophobia, according to the research, I would like to express some concept from research by academician. Four-step approach is needed in this regard, which are the first, again, defining this concept, as I told you, documenting Islamophobia, as you saw the very nice media by ICYF, clipping movement by young people want to in front of this concept, deconstructing its narratives, and also reconstructing new positive and realistic narratives around Muslims. How we can counter Islamophobia in communities? I suggest 6 things you and we can do to stop Islamophobia. 1, learn about Islam, Islamophobia, and the movement to counter Islamophobia by spending some time with their community, speaking more about Islam, the impacts of Islamophobia, and the movement to stop it. 2, build relationships with the local Muslim community, especially in Europe. 3, interrupt Islamophobia. 4, stand in solidarity with the Muslim community in this field. 5, advocate against anti-Islamic state and federal policies. And 6, promoting respect among religions. We should ask people to find the resources of news, entertainments that caused Islamophobia, as Ministry of Youth and Sport of Turkey also mentioned in his very nice speech. 2, when seeking to learn more about Muslim culture, find sources written by Muslim people within the culture. Learn to combat their own bases. Remember that cultural groups are not monolithic. And if they witness an act of hate or Islamophobic harassment, focus their energy on the person receiving the act and their safety, rather than the perpetrators. So, according to research, in 8 countries, we have these crises: France, Belgium, Germany, UK, Hungary, Greece, and Portugal. This is the more statistic in this country about the growth of Islamophobia. So, in front of this concept needs to more energy from young Muslim people, especially in Ummah, and also the activity of NGOs, non-governmental organizations, to bringing this global unity together to in front of this concept. In this time, according to 5 minutes, Dr. Fadila, I should thank you for nice moderating this panel. If there is any other thing, question or answer, I'm in here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kashiri, for your sharing and for those wonderful insights. We look forward also to have you tomorrow at the brainstorming session to share more of your strategies on how to counter Islamophobia. And also, as a member of the ICYF, you're already part of this global action. Again, we are accommodating the needs of our guests participating with us virtually from long distance. And with us, inshallah, we will take next Mr. Elmuddin Mahdi, Director General of the Eurasian Regional Center of the Islamic Cooperation Youth Forum from Baku. Elmuddin, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Greene, for presenting the floor. With your permission, I will start my address. Your Excellency, Mr. Taha Ayhan, the President of ICYF, His Excellency Ambassador Yusuf Al-Dubey, OIC, Assistant Secretary General for Political Affairs, His Excellency Mr. Cenk Uraz, Deputy Director General of OIC Affairs of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Turkey, esteemed guests, dear participants, esteemed member institutions, representative of member institutions of ICYF, dear speakers. I would like to greet all of you. On this special day. And first of all, I would like to express our solidarity, cordial solidarity with the people and government of brotherly Turkey in these hard days when the massive forest fires are happening in the southern part of the country. Our praise and our prayers are with the people of Turkey and with our friends, with our brothers there. And I would like to congratulate the ICYF with this important initiative to have this activity, to this important conference today. And meanwhile, I would like to express my soul that it's very pity that our resources, our time as a use of Islamic world or OIC geography is directed to this kind of things, to struggle Islamophobia, which is the not natural, which is the result of the fake concept of human brains, and we are facing it in the 21st century. Throughout the history, humanity passed through many hard, difficult times, including the in 1930s, in 1940s, when the humanity all together were fighting with fascism. But today, in the 21st century, again, in the same part of the world, we are witnessing the emergence, last 2 decades especially, this kind of challenging and also threatening the future of the humanity concepts like Islamophobia. Islamophobia is a fear, the excessive fear against Islam, against Muslims, and whatever is related with Islam, whatever is related with Muslims. This kind of xenophobic, fascist ideas, concepts has no place in our world in the 21st century. And I would like to underline the work undertaken by the OIC General Secretariat, the OIC community, to fight the Islamophobia. The OIC Observatory Unit in the General Secretariat is doing a great job and is doing the important and fulfilling the important task. Already, as far as I know, the 13 reports are issued by the unit, and all the negative reflections of Islamophobic actions we can read, we can see from these reports. At the same time, I would like to underline that ICYF, Islamic Cooperation Youth Forum, from the very beginning of its establishment, from the first days of establishment, put fighting, struggling Islamophobia as one of the priorities of the institution. And in that framework, Islamophobia Watchdog project was initiated in 2007, and throughout several years it was implemented mostly with the partners from the Europe. And the idea was that in the universities in European countries where the Islamophobic actions are were happening, the Islamophobia watchdog activists were taking their reports. And I would like also to mention that while we are criticizing the groups or political parties or some, let's say, segments of the society in Western world because of inflaming the Islamophobic tendency, it's also worth to mention that there are plenty of people, many people in Europe who are aware of this, of the challenge, of the threats of this fake concept, and that's why they are doing their best in order to fight against Islamophobia also. In that framework, many European institutions, NGOs are involved in this struggle. In overall, my point is that youth in general in the world are less politicized segment of the societies. So that's why whatever dialogue, whatever cooperation, collaboration may happen between the cultures, between the civilizations, youth are the main part of that work. So that's why as a youth institution, Islamic Cooperation Youth Forum, of course, is privileged to carry out this important task to enter into dialogue with its counterparts from European world, from Western world, from different geographies in order to fight, to struggle against this kind of negative happenings and concepts like Islamophobia. I see in this conference very close friends, and also I would like taking this opportunity to wish good luck to Dr. Grine for his moderating this important conference. At the same time, our esteemed speakers, brothers and sisters, I wish good luck, and I wish every success to the work of the conference. Thank you very much.
Very much, Mr. Almadin, for your insights and also for your suggested strategies. We look forward, inshallah, to work together and hear from you, inshallah, tomorrow in the brainstorming session. I move to the next panelist, Dr. Hazima Mohammed, ICYF member from Lebanon, the leader of the Islamic Risala Scout Association. Mr. Hazima, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Fadila. Bismillah. President, Your Excellency, Brother Taha Ayhan, Excellencies, distinguished guests, OIC General Secretariat, ICYF Secretariat, fellow ICYF members, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thanking ICYF for this great issue to bring up, because truly, when you go around the world, we see that Islamophobia is not something we just talk about. It's something we experience. Those who experience it more are students in universities abroad, whether it is in Europe, whether it is in the United States, whether it is in all countries. This is something that socially students and youth, Islamic youth, are facing, whether it's girls with hijab who are judged by the way they dress, by the hijab on their heads, and the way some cover their faces, whether it is by the names of students such as Muhammad or Ahmad or other names of students that face this abroad. This issue really needs to be brought up not in our societies only, but in the societies where this issue is being faced. In the countries where this issue is still an issue and is not being faced by the governments of these societies. It's being neglected, and no, Sometimes the governments and the officials are making it worse. And we have seen that in the past year and the past 2 years, where some officials from countries have made statements even worse than the Islamophobia being faced socially. So for that, I would really like to thank ICYF for bringing this up, because this is a matter of all our youth in and abroad the Ummah. I would like to thank the authors of the efforts of OIC for declaring March 15th the day of Islamophobia, because this is definitely an issue that requires a day. No, it even requires every day to be followed up upon. The importance of Islamophobia as a topic is that right now we live in a racist society where, if we go back a few years, people used to judge by where you come from, by the color of your skin, and by different stuff. Today, one of the racism that we are facing is the colors, your religion. After 1,400 years of Islam, and after 2,000 years of Christianity, we are still facing that issue now, where if once you are a Muslim in some countries, this by its own self is an issue that you are neglected or you are treated differently. You are segregated from others just because of your name or the way you dress. In 2021, we're almost 2022 now, we are still facing that issue, and it's still not looked up upon, and not looked upon even at all by a lot of people. So it is our duty as youth representatives, as ICYF as well, because we represent the youth of the Ummah, and our president has stated that clearly, to make this topic an essential topic to look upon. Why do the people focus on Islam like that? It is because of the media. The media has been the weapon in which we have been faced upon, and we have been, and has been used against us to give the way that Islam wants. They want to look at Islam with. They have been using the media to put the Prophet Muhammad as sometimes as if he came out here with a knife or the sword to kill. They have used the media to even harass our women and the way they dress. Even though if we look truly at all religions, that this religious dressing for women has been ever since the beginning of religion. It's not only for Islam. But the thing is that we have more women who dress up like that. So this media is being used against us, whether virtually, whether using televisions, magazines, books even sometimes, and now in our new modern day, social media, which is at the hands and the attainability of each and every one of us, which has had the biggest impact on Islamophobia and the way segregation is happening through Islamophobia. Stereotypes that run around in the countries where Islamophobia is present is huge. Once you say Allahu Akbar, which is something we say that to pray, some people, they just run away. And you just, this is something we use as a state of mind. We use it when we're talking, oh, Allahu Akbar, look how beautiful this is. But to them, they have, because of the stereotypes and because of what the media has delivered, they think that this is something related to terrorism. And it's not. Why is it that when there is a Muslim who commits an act of terrorism, this means all Muslims are terrorists? Whereas when we have countries or when we have groups or ethnicities that have a person or a group that commit terrorism, we do not say generalize this for this ethnicity. No, it's only the Muslims they're terrorists. That's not true. If we truly want to look up upon Islam, Islam is a religion of peace. Prophet Muhammad and all his descendants from the Khulafa al-Rashideen and from his family descendants, they all had one message, which was peace, love from one to one another. Truly, I really call out anyone listening to us today, go read about Islam. Go see what Islam asks of us in order to know that we are a religion of peace. Today I call out to the youth, what should we as the youth of this ummah do? How do we counter this Islamophobia that we are facing? To me, as I mentioned earlier, the weapon is media. Counter media with media. We should have our media, and this is a call out to all our media as well. We should have our media that should shed light upon these issues. It should shed light upon the true face of Islam. And we should have our youth. They are our ambassadors and our representatives in each and every place they go, in every country they are, in every educational institution that they go to, at each and every level. They are our ambassadors. They show in everything they do what true Islam truly is. Furthermore, we should stand with each other, brothers. Today, as OIC member countries and OIC representatives, we should look upon it like this. If we are not good to one another, if we are not united, how can we address and ask others to respect us and to see us and our religion as peaceful if we cannot love one another, if we cannot work hand in hand? At least, let me talk about what we are responsible for. Our youth, our Muslim youth. It is our duty to stand together and begin together under this association that has related us all, ICYF, in order to begin working together to rise for a better future and a better ummah. I look forward to having initiatives from our country to start, from Lebanon, for Islamophobia and for combating Islamophobia, especially that in Lebanon we have a country full of, we have 18 sects in Lebanon, so it's a place to start. And we can all start together, each one from our country and each one from abroad. I know a lot of the representatives present here have students, have youth from their countries abroad in different types of countries where we can ask them to help us as well. To have initiatives. Our brother Sahat and brother Qasim have begun an initiative in Canada. We can all help them out as well in different countries. And last, I would like to thank also Dr. Fadila for mentioning August 4th. Today is a truly, this marks the first year memorial of something truly horrible that happened in our country, Lebanon. 1 year ago, the world's third largest explosion took place after Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which is the explosion of Beirut port. We have lost the lives of more than 200 people, and we have a lot of people who, thousands who went injured. More than 300,000 have lost their homes or have had damages. More than approximately 1,000 businesses have closed down because of the explosion. 1 year later, we still don't know who did it, how it was done. The government has not taken action about this. We are very sad about this. We condolences to the people who have lost their parents, their children, the people they love. Our condolences to the whole Lebanese people, myself included, because truly our president was in Lebanon after the explosion, and he checked up. If you see this is truly, it's eye-watering even up till now, if you see where the place of the explosion. Thank you all, and thank you ICYF once again for organizing this Islamophobia event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hazima, and I'm really happy to hear you actually speaking the minds of so many and crystallizing the action, because until this moment I see that the call is already responded to. And as our member from Pakistan calling from Canada, he said, let's create a task force. Dr. Hazima also is saying here, let's get forward and start spreading in each one from his angle in Lebanon and everywhere else where we can do something at our level. And those are ICYF members who are committed already to this youth global action, and this says a lot, because see, the policy level OIC is doing the job, as His Excellency Ahmed Sarir shared with us the report of the Observatory of OIC is not leaving any single incident of Islamophobia worldwide not recorded and not analyzed. But what's needed and why we are calling for global youth action is not to analyze. The analyses are done. It's to youth to act from their platforms, from their angles, in their own way, in their own initiatives. And the ICYF members are the right people to talk to because they are the ones who are making this organization. And thank you very much again for getting into starting the crystallized action. Mr. Kashiri also proposed very good, actually, initiatives. And then we are moving forward. I take it to Ms. Hebo Hassan Ilmi, ICYF member from Djibouti, the leader of the Youth in Action. Ms. Hebo also probably she will share with us more steps toward this action. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Fadila. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Excellencies, directors, and distinguished members, good morning. My name is Hebo Hassan, and I'm from Djibouti. I'm pleased and honored to be a part of this discussion, as I believe that is our religious duty and our humanitarian integrity to stand up against this topic, which is Islamophobia. I'm the president of YAT, Youth in Action Djibouti, which is an association for Djiboutian youth. YAT is an association that fights against poverty through aid, education, and prevention, such as coaching and sensibilization. And why not we will add Islamophobia, sensibilize Islamophobia. Today, I'm taking the floor as a representative of Djiboutian Youth Voice to first and foremost thank the ICYF for the invitation to discuss about such an important and sensitive topic, which is the youth global action against Islamophobia. I'm delighted to take part in this and to share my sincere opinion and feelings about it. I completely stand against Islamophobia. Secondly, to highly condemn all sorts of Islamophobia. It's an absurd stereotype resulting in discrimination, marginalization, and exclusion of Muslims in many places around the world. Unfortunately, it's mostly experienced by our brothers and sisters in the Western countries. Islam is a religion of peace, and it cannot be associated to a fear or hate. Therefore, we must speak up on our level, youth level, to make an impact together. And hopefully together, we will one day put this war to rest. And ladies and gentlemen, before concluding, I would like to share my compassion and prayers for all the brothers and sisters who died in the recent fires in Turkey. Thank you so much for your time and patience for listening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hebo, for these insights. And I thank you also for mentioning that it's the duty of youth to portray Islam as the religion of peace. Let's add beauty. And this is also a reply to the question of Dr. Hazima, who said rightly, the question is more important than the answer. How are going to youth do it and confront this, heat of hate and discrimination as an inclusion and exclusion on social media, on media, and what are the tools that youth will be using to portray Islam as a religion for peace, mercy, and beauty. So those are the most important questions. We don't have to answer them today, but we take the questions with us. Tomorrow, again, we will brainstorm on these issues. So thank you again, Ms. Hebo, for your insights. They say last is the best, or best is last. So let's hear the best from Mr. Qassem Farasat, the co-founder of the Institute of Sustainable Development and Cooperation, ISDC, our partner in this program, who flew from Canada a long way to witness this program, to attend, to be part of it, and also to plan what's the next step to take in the Youth Global Action countering Islamophobia. Mr. Qassem, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Vadila. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Assalatu wassalamu alayka ayyuhan nabiyyu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Dear Excellencies, delegates, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. As a Muslim young person currently living in the West, I strongly feel that every Muslim should have the right to safely walk down a street, go shopping, enjoy recreational activities, work, and worship without fear of harm because of their faith, religion, ethnicity, or race. This past June, we saw the deadly consequences when this fundamental human right was brazenly violated as 4 members of a Muslim family were killed in London, Ontario, in Canada, and another seriously injured after a driver deliberately ran them down simply because of their religion, Islam. Police charged a suspect with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted murder, and described this as a planned, premeditated act motivated by hate and Islamophobia. Hatred and discrimination based on creed must have no place in a society. Yet, we have seen too many tragic reminders that Islamophobia and xenophobia are real, deadly, and persist across Canada and the Western societies. We must strongly condemn discrimination and hate based on creed and racism as shameful and in violation of a society's core value and beliefs. Alarmingly, Islamophobia and its tragic consequences are pervasive in communities across Canada. The National Council of Canadian Muslims reports that in the past 5 years, more Muslims have been killed in targeted hate attacks in Canada than any other G7 country because of Islamophobia. Statistics Canada reports that 2019 saw an increase of 9% in police-reported hate crimes, and that violent incidents targeting the Muslim population were more likely than any other type of hate crimes. From 2010 to 2019, across Canada, almost half of victims of violent hate crimes targeting the Muslim population were female, compared with 1/3 of all hate crime victims. My organization, the Institute of Sustainable Development and Cooperation, is working to develop capacity building of young girls and young people on sustainable development goals, is repeatedly denouncing the escalating hate that is targeting religious and racialized communities. It is essential that we all take steps and take them quickly to stand in solidarity as individuals and through our organizations to call out Islamophobia and racism and reject the hatred and the violence it begets. These steps must go beyond simply talking about the problem, but expressly recognizing that Islamophobia exists in all social and political spheres. Today's meeting to launch the Youth Global Action Countering Islamophobia offers a critical opportunity to build on this message and back it up with meaningful youth action so Muslim families and communities can be safe, supported, and respected across Canada and the Western societies. Young people today are arguably more engaged in social and civic issues that affect their communities and countries than ever before. This program of Youth Global Action Countering Islamophobia provides an opportunity to promote youth civic engagement and encourage young people to take specific action against Islamophobia that is long overdue. As Nobel Peace Prize laureate Kailash Satyani said, and I quote, "The power of youth is the commonwealth of the entire world. No segment in society can match the power, idealism, enthusiasm, and courage of young people." Against this backdrop, ISDC is partnering up under ICYF's program to promote a dialogue between Muslim and non-Muslim communities to sensitize the Canadian population against Islamophobia through awareness and outreach program against Islamophobia in Canada. The primary objectives will be to develop a support mechanism against Islamophobia and a methodology to counteract it by implementing intercultural and interreligious activities, and to capacity build Muslim youth to transcend their mindset and believe in their ability to challenge prejudice and promote mutual understanding. Lastly, I would like to thank Islamic Cooperation Youth Forum under the leadership of Brother Taha Ayhan Bey for creating an opportunity for us participants to contribute with our time, experiences, and knowledge for a global youth action against Islamophobia. ICDC holds ICYF as an inspiration that is deeply invested in combating discrimination and Islamophobia faced by young Muslims on various levels, and is deeply impressed by ICYF's dedication in countering Islamophobia through awareness and education. In support of ICYF, ICDC calls for a global youth action countering Islamophobia to address the global effects of Islamophobia on Muslim youth, encouraging effective collective measures by governments, international organizations, non-governmental organizations, youth organizations, and the international community to strengthen the spirit of solidarity and engage in cultural, civilizational dialogue. I also hope that this program will be an opportunity to learn from and with each other. The wide variety of experiences and practices around this room should allow for more effective and concerted action. I thank you all. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much, Mr. Qasim Farasat, for this very powerful presentation and also commitment, and also the call for young people to have a stand, and also practically speaking about how to put efforts together, how to bring in governments, institutions, governmental, non-governmental, youth institutions, youth activists all together to play a role in projecting Islam in a positive way and defending the human rights of Muslim youth around the globe. You're doing already a good job in Canada, and we are joining efforts together to do it all over the place with your support, with the young people initiatives. ICYF is just being the one who wants to ignite this desire in the hearts of every other young person. And we do believe in our youth. They are already in action. We are not asking them to start because they are already in the battlefield, and they are doing and inspiring all of us. And this is actually an inspiration that came from youth and their job and their messages and positive attitudes, and the way how they are displaying Islam and the values of Islam so beautifully on social media. Although there is a lot of hatred out there, but our young people are giving a good example on how to give the other beautiful image of Islam and Muslim cultures. In that, the takeaways, the practicality of this youth global action countering Islamophobia, the engagement of youth on a global level, with that intakes from Mr. Qasim Farasat. I also would like to call on our young people all over the world to start their campaigns on social media by tweeting, writing, sharing under our hashtag action for global action for tolerance, and also youth global action countering Islamophobia. Those hashtags, please tweet and retweet the tweets of ICYF, and let's reach to the youth community globally. I would like also to recognize more of our guests today who have not been visible to me in the room. Her Excellency Nadia Abdullah Al-Akhram, Deputy Minister of Youth and Sports for the women's sector from Yemen, who honored us with her presence today. And she already had a discussion with me asking me how to join the action, so we are very happy and glad to have you today. Ms. Lubna Al-Hassouni, Eden Maroc Association Morocco, our member from Morocco. You are welcome, and it's an honor having you with us today. We look forward to hear from the people of Morocco, and I know what Morocco is doing to counter Islamophobia in Europe, and especially in France and Spain. Also, I would like to welcome and thank our friends from CIMIC who made it to this program to support us as our neighbors and our friends. I would like to thank TRT, represented in Ms. Neslihan, and the Anadolu agency also, who are requesting information to publish about this event today. I would like to thank Mr. Ahmed Boudair, the director of Voices of America, who joins us today, and he is also had a discussion with me that he wants to take it to the end and wants to be one of our work partners. Special thanks to the OIC General Secretariat, who brought to us the facts and the charts and the information that we can build, and sharing it on youth platforms. This is a very strong actually out for the General Secretariat to share the knowledge, share the analysis, share the policy action they are making, and we wanted to put the youth at the service of the General Secretariat to act out and react to the global action requested by the Secretary General not long ago. Also, we would like to thank all the OIC institutions who helped and tried to be really partners in this global action. Very, very special thanks again to our ICYF members who are here now to say practically that we're part of this, we're doing this together. And I would like again to thank our brother Feshat from Canada, who said, let's start a mechanism, let's start a task force, and it's going to be with these institutions who will take it all together to the end in help and in solidarity with the efforts of the General Secretariat and the IPHRC, the Human Rights Commission of the OIC General Secretariat. To that end, let us express our gratitude to our respected speakers, participants. I'm sorry I'm not giving you the floor to ask questions, but because I want you all together to be here tomorrow at the roundtable brainstorming sessions to say your opinions, to suggest your solutions, and then we will summit to a declaration to share it with all member states and with all the global communities. Thank you for your patience. Thank you to Mr. Taha Ayhan, our president, for standing behind this, for always inspiring us to do best for the youth of the Ummah and OIC and beyond. He believes in those big initiatives, and because of him we are here today. Thank you for your patience, for your attention, for your dedication. We look forward to synergized efforts and help and hands, hearts together to counter Islamophobia. Have a very nice day, and inshallah we will see you tomorrow at the round table. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.